there's another day that goes, you know? But ignorance is no shame, it's just blindness to the facts. But believe, for ignoring it, you're to blame for turning your back. So to make the right decision from 1,000 voices, many that there are, but believe all the choices are few. So what you gonna do? Feel free or be free? Now that's the question. And that's the real focus of reality.
Back in 1991, I left Detroit, Michigan, my mother and my two sons, and moved to Charleroi, Pennsylvania. When I first got to Charleroi, Pennsylvania, it was a rude awakening because I was used to the Motor City, was used to clubs, used to discos, used to more convenient ways of living. But because of starting the battle to raising my sons, I needed to make a change, and it started in Charleroi, Pennsylvania. My time in Pennsylvania went from 1991 until I left for Delaware in 1999, and upon that time I had ran into a lot of different things and a lot of different people. But the people that I met along the way, little did I realize, were going to motivate me to have a lot of failures and then to finally become successful with those failures. Because as I used to say for years, I used to tell people I would rather have my kids succeed from my failures than fail from my successes. So that was the true meaning that I found over the weekend. But for the years that I lived in Charleroi, Pennsylvania, then Monessen, Pennsylvania, then finally Donora, Pennsylvania, there was a lot of different things that I saw. As a single parent, I always had a job, whether it was Giant Eagle or More for Less or Walmart. But the one thing that I tried to do that was my passion, but then it was more of a way of living than it was a passion, was being a DJ. I was the one DJ in the valley that had raggedy ass equipment. My equipment came from yard sales and Goodwills and pieces together. But even though my equipment was raggedy, people could not take away the knowledge that I had for the music. Thereupon came people such as Sir Chet, DJ Smoke. Those two particular individuals used to ridicule me. They used to say that I was never going to be nothing, was never going to be no good, and I wasn't worth being a DJ. But ain't it funny, ain't it funny, ain't it funny? Chester Artist is down in South Carolina recovering from a drug abuse addiction. Lyndon Henderson, DJ Smoke, is still playing in the Elks. He's still playing in the Valley, and you still haven't done nothing. Maybe what you should do, my friend, maybe you need to get a real job, because from what I heard, you got about 30 kids that they trying to find you for back child support. But the one person that I got my most motivation from was Carol Grogan, the former owner of the New Wave Club. Now, I remember Carol Grogan hired me to be a DJ, to be a bartender, to be a cook. And I used to break my neck every night working until 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. A lot of times I would walk from Monessen to Donora, but I wasn't getting any money. She always used to say that I was a good DJ, but I didn't have any talent. And I guess by me not having any talent is the reason why I only got $20, $25 for everything I did. While people like Chester and people like Smoke got hundreds of dollars for appearing in her establishment. But I took that on the chin. I did what I did. I never forget when I had a house on Clarendon Avenue, there was this one girl from Highland Manor that tried to talk to me. And me being the whimsical person that I am, I asked her, I said, what can you do for me? She said, what do you mean? I said, why should I talk to you? You are living in Section 8 housing, you catch the bus. I have my own house and my own car. What can you do for me? But when that got out of the streets, everybody, all of the women thought that I was uppity, I was conceited, I was arrogant. No, it wasn't all of that. It was just that I wanted something better. Then along came the woman that I was married to, Debbie Littleton. Now, I'm not going to sit here and badmouth Debbie because she's going through a thing of her own as far as the loss of her son. But the thing that I really don't understand about all of you people in Monessen and Donora, why do you keep on putting fire in this situation? Everyone that I talked to over the past weekend was so concerned with me running into Debbie. They were so afraid that there was going to be a confrontation between me and Debbie, to where to the point I was like, leave me alone. But this show is not about anger. This show is not about frustration. This show is a long way from what it used to be years ago. This show is to thank God, and I wanted to do this show because this show is a little bit too realistic for me to put the label New Rebirth on it and disrespect God by some of the things that I may say. So I just wanted to do this to tell people it's good to be free again. When I was in the Valley over the weekend, or shall I say, the whole weekend after I left here Thursday, there was a lot of unanswered questions that I had when I left my home Thursday night. A lot of unanswered questions about my late great-grandfather, who was, as I found out, a pedophile. I found out that some of my female friends, as I was a kid, he basically did what he did with them. I later found out that the monies that should have been left to my mother when he passed away was systematically stolen. I'm going to be nice about it and say that. But the one thing that I did find out on my first journey into my past is that I complained about a lot of the different things that was going on with me in my life here in Michigan. But going to Cleveland and then going to Pennsylvania, I realized that I have heaven on earth in my home. So I want to thank, number one, I want to thank April Zellner for allowing me to be in your home for the short time that I was. I thank you for the things that you told me. I thank you for the things that you cleared up with me. And I pray that God give you the peace that you seek in your life. The second part of the journey, I found myself in the Mon Valley. Well, it's funny. Carol Grogan and other people always told me that my sons were not going to grow up to be nothing but drug addicts, not going to be able to grow up to be nothing more than crackheads. And it was because of a situation that happened between me and my mother that caused me not to talk to my mother for 2 years. I've now realized that I'm thankful. My mother decided that it would be best that if she allowed Matthew and BJ to finish school in Greensburg. Now, I was pissed off about it. I thought my mother was trying to be controlling, but little did I realize that that was one of the best things that my mother could have ever did. Because I do believe that if Matthew and BJ would have still been in the Mon Valley, whether it was Monessen or Donora, because of peer pressure, either one or both of them would have wound up in penitentiary, either dead or hooked on drugs. So that was one of many judgment calls that God threw upon me, that I had to do what? I had to stand back. And now that I've stood back and I've watched the evolution of a miracle, I now fall down and thank God for what he did for my family. But as I stood on the corner of Knox Avenue and 6th Street and I looked around the city of Monessen, I wasn't hurt. I wasn't disgusted. No tears dropped from my eyes. I did not fall on my knees and pray for the city, because the thing about the city of Monessen, a lot of the people in Monessen, you brought that on yourself. You allowed the drugs to come into your community. You allowed your nephews and your cousins and even your children to sell the narcotics in your neighborhood to where Monessen has looked like a war zone. So I don't feel bad for none of you people in Monessen. I don't feel bad that there is no businesses in Monessen. I don't feel bad that the one place that gave, and let's get this right, gave the black children of Monessen a chance to grow, Agape Center, is shut down. I feel bad for those kids. I feel bad for those good parents that lost their kids to the streets of Monessen because such people as the members of OK Lodge 697, supposed to be the brothers of Elkdom, did nothing for their community. That's what I feel sad about, because the good children in Monessen never got a chance to have the possibilities and the opportunities, such as my children did, to leave the valley and be able to become something of themselves. Now, yeah, there are parents there that work their fingers to the bone to give their children everything they had, and those children who are now adults are doing great things. But when I looked around your city, I saw no hope. When I looked in some of the faces of some of the kids that were standing in front of the gas station down at Exxon, or when I looked at the faces of some of the kids that were standing in front of Walmart, they have no hope. They have no drive. They have no belief. And you know what? That didn't happen by accident. That came from you. One of the reasons why I went back to Charleroi, Pennsylvania in 1991 is because I heard the stories of how there used to be unity on Morgan Avenue, how parents used to look out for everyone, how grandparents, how everybody looked out for everybody on the block. So I went back to Pennsylvania because I felt like this is what my kids needed. But I came back almost 10 years later, and that hope that I had when I moved there in 1991 is no longer there. But because of people such as Bonnie Mays, because of people such as Cherry West, because of people like Putin Mays, you three people that I broke bread with for a day and a half, you made me feel like there was a reason for the season, and the season for the reason was for me to come back to Monessen and to fall down to God and thank Him for what He didn't give me. Now you may say, what's Billy D talking about for what God didn't give me? What God did not give me back then was the reason why I didn't need to be there. I had to find that on my own. I had to leave Monessen, Pennsylvania in 2007, went to Jeanette, went to Greensburg. I found myself without a place to live. I found myself with a lot of different things. Why? Because I didn't have faith in Him. And I never forget, one Saturday afternoon in 2008, I left work and I'm sitting at the corner of the gas station, whatever it was. My mother was going to work. She pulled around the corner. She asked me where I was going, and I told her, and my mother brought me to Greensburg. And from that point on, that's when life began to change for me. But on this weekend, because of my Bonnie Mays, because of Cherry West, you two ladies who have known me pretty much all my life, you two ladies have always supported my shows. You have always liked any particular important comments that I made. You two ladies gave me a reason to be proud of what I have back here in Michigan. You two ladies gave me a reason to say thank you, God. You two ladies helped me realize why I was here in the Mon Valley, and I thank you both. But again, people such as Carol Grogan, people such as the Elks Lodge 697 as a whole. This particular organization, I remember when I first became a brother in 1993, it was about something. It wasn't just a drinking hole. I walked into the Elks Lodge Friday night because I was supposed to meet my stepfather to have a drink with him, and I saw more dirt. I thought this was somebody's basement. And the only bright moment